Hello again, everybody. This is FIDE Master Dalton Perrine from chessuniversity.com, and this is another video in the Tactics Time video series here that we're doing today. Once again, as you probably heard before, in this video series, I'll be working on solving different tactics trainer positions here on chess.com. With each position, I'm going to first of all show you the tactic, and then I'll give you the chance to pause the video so you can work on solving the problem yourself. And then I'll be explaining my thought process behind solving the position, and then finally I'll show you the solution to the puzzle. So, without any more waiting, it's time for some tactics here. Let's go ahead and hit start, see what happens. Okay, so it looks like in this position, it is white's move right now. Go ahead and pause the video. Think about what you would do if you were white. White's pawn is going down, 2 squares away from promoting, and black's is coming, white's is going forwards, black's is coming downwards toward you. So white to move here and figure out what you would do. Okay, so in this position, it's white's move right now. So this is definitely an endgame position, obviously. Just a king and a pawn for both sides. It's really important where white puts his king right now. I believe in this position that only one move is good for white here. So a little bit of the process of elimination can be done here, since there's only 1, 2, 3. There's only 4 available moves at this point. The pawn covers the f6 square from the king. So we're going to lose the e6 pawn pretty much. We want to make sure that when we lose the pawn, we're in a position to get the opposition and draw the game here. Once black captures on e6, we want to be able to have our king on e4 as soon as he captures. He captures, we play king e4. So the only way to do that is to play king f4 right now. If we move the king to g6 or g5 or g4, black can take the pawn and he actually ends up winning. Feel free to play this out on a board against a computer if you want to double check it. But king f4 is the only way to get a draw. Because as soon as black takes, we need to play king e4 and get the opposition. And then again here, you want to match the king once again. Match the king with king f4. If you go to d4, you actually lose. If you go to f4, you keep the draw. He pushes the pawn. Now you still want to stay in front. You play king e4. And again, if he pushes, you step back to e3. And white does get a draw if he plays correctly in this position. But again, it is one that you probably want to play out. And, definitely important one to understand. Because one small move can cost you the game for sure. But it is a draw if you make the best moves. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our next position. All right, white has just made the move. Bishop takes e7. It is black's move in this position. Go ahead and pause the video and see what you can come up with for black here. Okay, black to move here. Looks pretty bad for black. We're down 2 minor pieces and the rook, plus our king is under attack. But white's last move was definitely a mistake. White played the bishop from h4 and captured on e7. So there is a way for black to turn this around now. Black can actually get a checkmate within a couple moves. So the idea here is the smothered mate. And it first of all starts off with knight f2 check. The king has to go to g1. Oops. And now we have discovered checks available. Anywhere this knight moves, we're going to have the ability to open up a check from our queen to hit the king here. Now, it's really important that you put the knight on the right square. If you take the queen here, that's not actually the best move right now. It might be playable, but it's not the best move. The best move here in this position is knight h3, which is going to be a double check because my knight is hitting the king, and the queen is also opened up on the king there as well. A double check pretty much just means that white has to move the king. You can't capture both of the checking pieces at the same time. You can't block both of the checking pieces at the same time. So knight h3, double check. The king goes back in the corner. Now, it looks like we haven't really accomplished much, but this is where the smothered part of the mate comes into play. If white could not move right now, if something was blocking the way on g1, like if his rook was on g1 right now, then we could go back to f2 with checkmate. So what we do is sacrifice the queen on g1. The rook has to take because the knight was protecting the queen. And now we go back to f2 and we get the smothered mate here. So it's probably one of the more liked or more studied types of tactics because it might not be very popular, but it's always nice to see. It's important to know how to do these smothered mates because they can make the difference if you get the chance to do it. So anyways, though, this is smothered mate, and so it starts off, first of all, with the check on f2, the double check on h3, sacrifice the queen, then now the king is smothered and stuck in the corner, and knight f2 to finish off the checkmate here. Okay, let's move on to our next position. So in this position here, it is black's move right now. Go ahead and pause the video and see what you can see what you would do if you were black here, and then unpause the video when you are ready. Okay, so in this position, it's black's move at the moment. We have a couple different checks available. Two checks that I see. We can play queen h2 check, which is probably the first thing that jumps out to some people. But if we go queen h2 check, the king will move to f1. We might check on h1. The king comes up to e2. And surprisingly, the king is okay there. He's not getting checkmated at least. The other check here is rook h1 check. A lot of people might rule this out because, you know, it looks like it just loses a rook. But actually, rook h1 check does lead to the mate, because once the king takes on h1, then queen h2 comes in, and the king can't move, you know, he can't move 2 squares in a row. He can't go from h1 to g1 to f1 within one move. So he actually would be mated in that case. So you draw the king into the corner, then queen h2 delivers the finisher here. Okay, so nice little deflection idea there, sacrificing the rook to draw the king into the corner. Then we deliver the mate on the h2 square, which is pretty nice. We also looked at the smothered mate tactic. So definitely a couple of important tactics to understand. Different sacrifices, and sometimes your first instinct is not always the best move. So definitely something you want to keep in mind when you're looking at tactics and solving tactics traders and stuff like that. Okay, so make sure that you're always you know, doing your calculation and practicing your tactics. That's it for me in this video, though. Hopefully, I will see you guys again in a future video. I hope you guys enjoy this one, and I will talk with all of you guys again in the future. All right, bye, everybody. Talk to you later.